The renovation looks amateur, Garrett. We need a real professional. My name is Garrett Reynolds. I'm 54 years old, being in construction for 28 years. Samantha had just insulted the $35,000 home office I'd built for her art business. The same office where she sold exactly 3 paintings in 2 years. The same office I'd worked nights and weekends to finish while she complained about the dust. I stood there holding my coffee. Didn't say anything. Just looked at the custom oak shelves I'd built by hand. The Italian tile I'd installed myself. The electrical work that passed inspection on the first try. 28 years of experience, and my wife called it amateur. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. Samantha kept talking. Blake says this kind of work looks dated. Says we need modern design principles. Blake. She'd been mentioning that name a lot lately. Blake Mitchell, some architect she was collaborating with on art projects. Never met the guy, but apparently he was an expert on everything from gallery lighting to home renovations. Who's Blake again? I asked. I told you. The architect helping with my new exhibition space. He has incredible vision. Vision, right. My incredible vision had built this house from the ground up. Bought the lot for $45,000 in 1999. Designed every room myself. Did 80% of the work with my own hands. But apparently that wasn't good enough anymore. If you like stories about betrayal in marriage and how the truth always comes out, hit the like button and subscribe right now. Every day we have brand new stories, each one more intense than the last. Let me tell you how I got here. Met Samantha in 1980 at some art gallery downtown. She was wearing a black dress, looking at paintings that cost more than my truck. I was there with my sister Linda, who dragged me along to some charity auction. Samantha was different. Smart, passionate about art. Said she wanted to paint full-time someday instead of working her boring job at the insurance office. I made it happen. We got married 8 months later. Small wedding, $3,500 total cost. Her parents didn't approve of me. Working class guy, hands dirty from construction sites. But Samantha said she loved that I built things. Said she wanted to create art while I created the foundation for our life. I worked 70 hours a week for 25 years so she could follow her dreams. Started Reynolds Contracting in 2001 with $8,000 borrowed from my brother and a beat-up Ford pickup. First year, made $23,000 profit. Second year, $41,000. By year 5, I was pulling in 6 figures. Built her a $20,000 studio in our backyard in 2005. Custom lighting, climate control, built-in storage for canvases. Took me 4 months of working every weekend. She cried when she saw it finished. Said it was the most beautiful gift anyone had ever given her. Paid for 15 art shows that never made money. Gallery fees, framing costs, wine and cheese for openings where 3 people showed up. The Henderson Gallery charged $800 just to hang her work for 2 weeks. The Morrison Art Center wanted $2,200 for a group show. Never complained. Just wrote the checks. Bought supplies whenever she asked. $400 for a set of brushes from Germany, $800 for canvas imported from Italy, $2,200 for a weekend workshop with some famous painter from New York, $20,500 for a pottery wheel she used exactly twice, $5,000 for that trip to France where she was going to study the masters but spent most of the time shopping. Our house cost $380,000. Paid it off in 12 years working double shifts and weekend projects. Every room designed and built to her specifications. She wanted an open kitchen. Knocked down 2 walls. She wanted a master bathroom with a garden tub. Installed $8,000 worth of marble and fixtures. She wanted hardwood floors throughout. Ripped up perfectly good carpet and spent $12,000 on Brazilian cherry. My construction business, Reynolds Contracting, brought in $850,000 last year. 12 employees, including my foreman Carlos, who's been with me 8 years. Never had a single customer complaint in 2 decades. Better Business Bureau A+ rating. Won Contractor of the Year from the City Chamber of Commerce in 2019 and 2021. I knew how to build things right. Houses that lasted. Relationships that lasted. Or so I thought. But 6 months ago, things started changing. Samantha began collaborating with Blake Mitchell. Architecture meetings that lasted until midnight. Working sessions at his shared studio space 4 nights a week. Coming home after 1 a.m. smelling like wine and some cologne I'd never used. Expensive stuff. The kind that cost $200 a bottle. Started criticizing everything I built, everything I fixed around the house. The kitchen cabinets I'd custom built from solid maple look outdated. The deck I'd expanded last summer using premium cedar doesn't flow with the landscape. The master bedroom renovation that took 6 months and cost $15,000 lacks sophistication. Everything was wrong. Everything needed Blake's input. Everything could be improved with his design vision. Our daughter Chelsea got weird too. 26 years old, married to Parker last year in a $15,000 wedding I paid for. The reception alone cost $8,000. Chelsea's dress was $2,200. Parker's family contributed exactly nothing. I covered it all without complaining because that's what fathers do. Suddenly, Chelsea couldn't look me in the eye during Sunday dinners. Started whispering with her mom in the kitchen. When I'd walk in, they'd stop talking and pretend they were discussing gallery schedules or wedding planning for her friend's upcoming ceremony. I'd ask simple questions. How's work? What's new with Parker? Got one-word answers and uncomfortable silence. This was the same daughter I'd taught to use a hammer when she was 8. The same kid I'd coached in softball for 5 years. The same girl who called me every week until 6 months ago. I thought maybe they were planning something for our 25th anniversary coming up in November. Maybe a surprise party or a trip. Made sense they'd be secretive about it. I was right about them planning something. Just not what I expected. Found the receipt on a Tuesday morning in early September. Not hidden or anything. Just sitting in Samantha's purse when I was looking for her insurance card after she had a fender bender at the grocery store. Invoice from Morrison Design Group, $8,500 for complete studio redesign and renovation. Address downtown on 5th Street. Date from 3 weeks ago. I'd never seen this invoice before. Never heard of Morrison Design Group. And I sure as hell hadn't renovated any studio for $8,500. I did all of Samantha's art space work myself. My hand shook holding that piece of paper. 25 years of marriage, and my wife was spending $8,500 behind my back. Money we'd never discussed. Money from our joint account that I'd worked 60-hour weeks to earn. Called my buddy Trevor, who works commercial construction downtown. Known him since high school. His crew does a lot of office buildings and retail spaces. Hey, you know a Morrison Design Group on 5th Street? Long pause. Yeah, that's Blake Mitchell's outfit. Why you asking? Told him I might have some work coming up, needed to check their reputation. Trevor laughed, but not in a good way. Reputation? Guy's been undercutting everyone in town for 6 months. Getting jobs he shouldn't be getting. Like he knows exactly what everyone else is bidding before we submit. It's weird, man. That hit me wrong. Real wrong. What kind of jobs? Commercial, mostly. Office renovations, retail build-outs. But here's the thing. He's bidding like he's seen other contractors' estimates. Comes in 500s or 1,000 under every time. Nobody's that good at guessing. I thanked Trevor and hung up. Sat in my truck outside Home Depot for 20 minutes thinking. Blake Mitchell was somehow getting inside information on construction bids. And my wife was spending $8,500 on his services without telling me. Drove downtown that afternoon. Found the address on the invoice. Nice building, probably built in the 1990s. Expensive neighborhood. Parking meters cost $2 an hour. Took some photos with my phone. Noted the business directory in the lobby. Morrison Design Group, Suite 314. Waited across the street at a coffee shop. Ordered black coffee and a sandwich I didn't eat. Just watched the building entrance. At 3:47 p.m., Samantha's Honda pulled up to the curb. She got out carrying 2 coffees from Starbucks and a bag from Bella's Bakery on 5th Street. The bakery where cupcakes cost $6 each. Walking into the building like she owned it. I sat there for another hour. She came out at 5:15 p.m. with Blake Mitchell. Tall guy, probably 39 or 40. Designer jeans that probably cost more than my work boots. One of those expensive jackets architects wear to look creative. They kissed in the doorway. Not a friendly kiss. Not a business kiss. A real kiss. The kind married people give each other. Then she got in her car and drove home to make dinner like nothing happened. My wife of 25 years was cheating on me with some architect who was somehow stealing construction bids around town. And she was using our money to pay him $8,500 for God knows what. But what I didn't expect was how deep this betrayal went. That night I went through Samantha's things while she was in the shower. Never done that before. Never had a reason. Found a second phone hidden in her makeup drawer under old lipsticks and broken compacts. Cheap Samsung burner phone probably cost $30 at Walmart. No password protection because she never expected anyone to find it. The text messages made me sick. Blake, the blueprints you photographed were perfect. Won the Henderson project. Samantha, Garrett will never know. He leaves everything on his desk when he comes home. Blake, smart and beautiful. I'm the luckiest man alive. Samantha, when can we stop hiding? I want to be with you for real. Blake, soon, baby. Just need a few more big contracts to get established. Scrolled through weeks of messages. This wasn't just an affair. This was systematic business espionage. Blake was using my wife to steal my business information. Client lists, project bids, construction schedules, supplier contacts. Everything was there in black and white. More messages. Samantha, Garrett's bidding $127,000 on the Oak Street apartments. Deadline is Friday. Blake, perfect. I'll go $126,500. You're incredible. Samantha, he's meeting with Riverside Mall on Tuesday. Should I try to get those specs? Blake, If you can do it without raising suspicion, I need those plans. My own wife was photographing my private business documents and sending them to her boyfriend so he could destroy my company. I went to my home office, checked my files. 3 big projects I had lost in the past 4 months. The Henderson office building, my bid was $89,000. Blake won it at $80,500. Riverside Shopping Center renovation, my bid was $156,000. Blake got it for $155,000 to $200. Oak Street apartment complex. My bid was $127,000. Blake underbid me by exactly $500. Total value of lost contracts, $372,000. My profit margin on those jobs would have been about $125,000. Money that should have gone to expanding my business, hiring more workers, maybe taking that vacation to Hawaii. Samantha had been asking about for 3 years. Instead, Blake Mitchell was using stolen information to destroy my livelihood while sleeping with my wife. I sat in my truck in the Walmart parking lot for 3 hours that night. Engine off, windows down, just thinking. My wife of 25 years was feeding my business secrets to some architect so he could bankrupt my company. And she was sleeping with him while I worked 16-hour days to pay for her art supplies and studio rent. The woman I'd supported for 2 decades. The woman I'd built a custom studio for. The woman I'd never said no to when she wanted money for paintings, workshops, or gallery fees. She was systematically destroying everything I'd worked to build. Time to get to work. Real work. Called Preston Cole first thing Wednesday morning. Private investigator, used to be a cop with Metro PD for 15 years before going private. Costs $200 a day plus expenses, but he's worth every penny. Has connections with courthouse records, database searches, surveillance equipment. I need everything, I told him over coffee at Denny's. Photos, financial records, communication logs, background check. Whatever you can find on Blake Mitchell and his business practices. Preston was a pro. Asked the right questions. How long had this been going on? What kind of information was being shared? Did I want evidence for divorce proceedings or business litigation? Both, I told him. Everything Preston delivered in 5 days. Blake Mitchell had a history, a pattern. This wasn't his first time seducing married women to get business information. Divorced twice. First wife Elena filed a restraining order in 2018. Court documents showed Blake had pressured her to share client information from her job at Citizens Bank. When she refused, he became verbally abusive. Second wife Diana divorced him in 2020 after discovering he'd been accessing her real estate client database to steal property development leads. Pattern of seducing married women in professional positions. Always women who had access to business information he could exploit. Sarah Martinez, insurance executive at Nationwide. Blake dated her for 4 months in 2021. Got her to share client information about commercial property policies. Started his own insurance consulting side business using her contacts. Dropped her after he had milked every useful connection. Sarah's supervisor found out about the information leak. She got fired and lost her $65,000 a year job. Jennifer Walsh, loan officer at First National Bank. Blake romanced her for 6 months in 2022. Got insider information about upcoming commercial development loans. Used that information to position himself for architecture contracts before projects were publicly announced. Ghosted her when the FBI started asking questions about information leaks at the bank. Jennifer got suspended without pay for 3 months while they investigated. Samantha was just the latest victim. Except she wasn't some innocent woman being manipulated. The text messages Preston found showed she knew exactly what she was doing. She was actively stealing from her own husband to help her boyfriend destroy my business. Blake had a system. Target married women whose husbands had valuable business information. Seduce them with expensive dinners, romantic getaways, promises of a future together. Get them to share confidential information. Use that information to undercut their husbands' businesses. When the information dried up or the relationship got too complicated, disappear and find the next target. Preston also found Blake's financial records. Guy was broke, behind 3 months on office rent. Credit cards maxed out. Owed $15,000 in back taxes. His BMW was leased and 2 payments behind. The expensive clothes and fancy dinners were all financed by stolen contracts. But I had a plan. A good one. Created a fake project file over the weekend. Riverside Mall Expansion Phase 2. Made it look like a $2.3 million renovation contract. Drew up architectural plans using software I'd learned from my business. Created detailed budget breakdowns, material specifications, labor schedules. Even forged emails from the mall management company about timeline requirements and permit approvals. The fake project looked completely legitimate. Included details only a contractor would know, specific building codes, permit requirements, union labor rates, supplier pricing. Took me 40 hours to create, but it was perfect. Left the file on my desk Tuesday night. Made it look important but not too obvious. Mixed it in with real project files, but positioned so anyone looking through my desk would definitely see it. Went to bed early, pretended to be asleep when Samantha came home from her book club at 11:30 p.m. Wednesday morning, the file was gone. Not missing completely, just moved. Someone had photographed every page and put it back in slightly the wrong order. Amateur mistake. Thursday afternoon, Preston called. Your boy took the bait. Blake Mitchell just submitted a proposal to Riverside Mall management for their Phase 2 expansion, $2.29 million. His proposal includes specifications that match your fake project exactly. Perfect. Blake had stolen information about a project that didn't exist. Used confidential documents to bid on nothing. He'd just proved he was getting inside information through illegal channels. Friday morning, I made some calls. City Council, Chamber of Commerce, Contractor Licensing Board. Told them I had evidence of systematic bid fraud and corporate espionage in the local construction industry. Requested an emergency meeting to present evidence. The meeting was scheduled for Monday afternoon. Public session. City Council chambers. I sent invitations to every contractor in town. Important discussion about fair bidding practices and industry fraud. Blake showed up in his expensive jacket, probably expecting to sign a contract for the mall expansion. Samantha wasn't there. I'd told her I was working late on estimates. The room was packed. 30 contractors, 5 city council members, representatives from the Chamber of Commerce, and a reporter from the Daily Tribune who'd gotten wind of the meeting. Stood up during public comments. I want to report a case of systematic bid fraud and corporate espionage affecting multiple construction companies in the city. Dead silence. Every contractor in the room leaned forward. Laid out everything methodically. The stolen information, the undercut bids, the pattern of targeting married women for business intelligence. Showed copies of text messages where Samantha admitted photographing my blueprints and sharing client information. Blake Mitchell has been using personal relationships to steal confidential bidding information from established contractors. This is not fair competition. This is fraud. Blake went white. Started sweating through his designer shirt. Tried to leave, but the door was blocked by other contractors who'd lost jobs to Morrison Design Group. Carlos, my foreman, stood up and pointed at Blake. This pendejo cost me overtime hours on 3 jobs we should have won. City attorney asked Blake to remain for questions. Mr. Mitchell, can you explain how you obtained confidential bidding information for the Henderson project? Dead silence. Blake's hands were shaking. Can you explain your relationship with Mrs. Reynolds and her access to her husband's business files? More silence. Blake looked around the room like a trapped animal. Then I dropped the hammer. Mr. Mitchell submitted a bid yesterday for the Riverside Mall Phase 2 expansion, a project that doesn't exist. He bid $2.29 million on a completely fabricated contract using stolen specifications from my office. The room exploded. Contractors started yelling. City council members demanded explanations. The reporter was taking notes frantically. Blake tried to talk. Stammered something about misunderstandings and competitive research. Nobody was listening. He'd been caught red-handed bidding on a fake project using stolen information. Within a week, Blake lost 4 legitimate contracts worth $800,000. Clients don't like working with companies that cheat. Word travels fast in construction. His business partner, a guy named Rodriguez, who apparently had no idea what Blake was doing, filed to dissolve Morrison Design Group immediately. Blake's checking account got frozen pending investigation by the State Contractor Licensing Board. His BMW got repossessed Tuesday morning. Saw it happen myself when I drove past his apartment building. Repo truck hooked it up right in front of the building while Blake stood on the sidewalk in his pajamas. Samantha came home that Friday night to find divorce papers on the kitchen table. I was sitting there with a beer and Preston's complete investigative report. Photos, bank records, communication logs, background checks on Blake's previous victims. Everything laid out in neat folders. She walked in and saw the papers. Saw the evidence. Went completely white. Sit down, I said. She sat. 25 years, I started. 25 years I worked my ass off so you could play artist. Built you a studio. Paid for supplies. Paid for shows. Paid for trips to France and Italy and every other place you wanted to go study art. Never asked for anything except loyalty. She tried to interrupt. I held up my hand. You gave him my client lists. You photographed my bid sheets. You shared confidential information with a man who was using it to destroy my business. The business that paid for every brush, every canvas, every gallery fee you ever wanted. Tears started. Real tears this time. Garrett, I can explain. Explain what? Explain how you helped Blake steal $125,000 worth of contracts? Explain how you were planning to leave me after he got established using my information? Explain how you used our daughter to cover your lies? Long silence. I didn't know he was using me, she finally said. I thought he loved me. I thought we had something real. He's broke, Samantha. 3 months behind on rent. Owes $15,000 in taxes. The fancy dinners, the expensive gifts, all paid for with money he stole using information you gave him. More tears. I felt invisible. Like you didn't see me anymore. Like I was just some housewife you supported out of obligation. You were my wife, the mother of my child. I worked 60-hour weeks for 25 years so you could follow your dreams. And this is how you repay me. She kept crying. I finished my beer and went to bed in the guest room. Divorce was final 3 months later. Evidence of adultery and corporate espionage meant no alimony under state law. Samantha got her personal belongings, her car, and $3,400 from her personal checking account. Everything else, the house, the business, the retirement accounts, the savings, stayed with me. Blake's contractor license got suspended for 2 years after the state investigation. Had to close Morrison Design Group permanently and pay $25,000 in fines. Moved back to Ohio to live with his parents. Word travels fast in construction. Nobody in the industry will work with a guy who steals information from other contractors. Samantha had to get a real job for the first time in 15 years. Applied everywhere, but most places wouldn't hire a 48-year-old with no recent work experience. Finally got part-time work at Michael's craft store making $12 an hour. 24 hours a week, no benefits. Moved to a studio apartment in the cheapest part of town, $650 a month rent plus utilities. Had to sell her car and buy a used Honda with 150,000 miles. Tried to keep painting, but lost her gallery space when they found out about the business fraud scandal. Chelsea blamed me at first. Called me vindictive and cruel. Said I'd destroyed her mother's life over one mistake. Said I should have tried marriage counseling instead of public humiliation. That lasted about 6 months, until Chelsea found out the truth about Blake systematically targeting married women. Until she understood her mother hadn't just had an affair, she'd actively participated in destroying my business. Until she realized every family vacation, every wedding expense, every art supply had been paid for by the company her mother helped attack. Now Chelsea comes to Sunday dinner again. Brings Parker sometimes. We don't talk about her mother much, but she hugs me when she leaves and says she's proud to be my daughter. The best part happened last year. Blake contacted me in March. Called my office number bold as brass. My secretary Diane put him through before checking with me first. Reynolds Contracting, this is Garrett. Garrett, it's Blake Mitchell. How are you? I leaned back in my chair. Same chair where I'd worked those 16-hour days while he was stealing my information and sleeping with my wife. Blake, heard you were back in Ohio. Yeah, staying with family for a while. Listen, I know we had our differences, but I'm looking to get back into architecture. Heard you were doing well. Thought maybe you might have an opening. I'm a good architect, Garrett. I could really help your business grow. The ball's on this guy. Incredible. You know what, Blake? You're right about one thing. You did help my business grow. After Morrison Design Group got shut down, I picked up 3 of your former clients. Turns out they never really trusted your company anyway. Something about your business practices seemed off to them. Silence on the other end. The Henderson project you stole from me using my wife's information? Client called me 6 months later. Said the work quality was terrible and you'd abandoned the job halfway through. Asked me to come finish it properly. Made $45,000 fixing your mistakes. More silence. As for job openings, I appreciate the interest. But I need someone professional. Someone I can trust with confidential information. Someone who won't photograph my client files and share them with competitors. I'm sure you understand. I hung up, haven't heard from him since. My business is doing better than ever. Revenue up 35% last year. Hired 3 more full-time employees, including Carlos's nephew, who's learning the trade. Building a new office complex downtown. Ironically, the same block where Blake used to have his studio. The client specifically requested Reynolds Contracting because they heard I was honest, reliable, someone who wouldn't share their information with competitors. Word travels both ways in business. Bought a new truck last month. Ford F-250 loaded with every option. Cost $52,000, paid cash. Parked it in the driveway of the house I built by hand, the house my ex-wife called amateur. Sometimes I drive past Samantha's apartment building. Never stop, just drive by when I'm in that part of town for work. She's 48 years old, working retail, living alone in a studio apartment smaller than the art studio I built for her. All those dreams about being a famous artist ended when she decided to betray the man who made them possible. All those gallery showings, art workshops, and trips to Europe paid for by the business she helped destroy. I'm not angry anymore. Anger was just wasted energy. But I'm not sorry either. Actions have consequences. She made her choices. Blake made his choices. Chelsea made her choice to eventually forgive me and rebuild our relationship. I made my choice too, to not let people walk all over me, to protect what I'd built, to make sure there were real consequences for betrayal. The house is quiet now. No more whispering in the kitchen. No more lies about working late. No more mysterious expenses for art projects. Just peace and the satisfaction of work done right. Built this life from nothing. Lost half of it to betrayal. Built it back stronger than before. That's the thing about construction. You learn to build on solid foundations. You learn to spot structural weaknesses before they bring down the whole building. And you learn that some damage is too extensive to repair. Sometimes you have to tear down and start over. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button and let me know what you think in the comments. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? How did you handle it? And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more true stories about justice, betrayal, and the consequences of our choices. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.